Going to attempt to do a series, and this series is about 120 chapters, and the first series. So we're going to be talking about a lot of things. The Lord laid it on my heart to do this, to be an encouragement to the community, people out there. Things are happening. People are dying. They are dying from abuse and manipulation, deception, and it is increasing. And I shared when I was talking to people about the ministry, that it will soon be knocking on your door. No prediction. That's just the way it is if you don't do anything about it. A lot of the organizations tell me that they are helping an organization. You need to help more, because look at the results. It's going to be in your daughter's home. It's going to be in your home, affecting your daughter, affecting your grandchildren. And here we are, 2018. That was 2005. This is 2018. So the results is just wow. It's crazy out there, and it's a war zone. It was a war zone in 2005, but it has really increased each year. So I am going to sing this song, and we are going to be talking about a subject, and the title of this, you would recognize me as Breaking the Silence. That is the title of each session, Breaking the Silence, and we are going to talk about a subject of each. And today the subject is called the depression. Is going to be about depression. So we're going to be discussing that. So we are going to let you know. We're going to let you know the effects of depression. And well, before we begin, I'm going to sing a song for you. Why should I feel discouraged? And why should the shadows come? And why should my heart feel lonely and long for heaven and home, when Jesus is my portion? A constant friend is he. His eyes is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. His eyes is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. And I sing because I'm happy. And I sing because I am free. His eyes is on the sparrow, and I know He watches watches me. He watches me. His eyes is on the sparrow, and I know He was. I know He was, and I know He watches me. I sing because I'm happy, and I sing because I am free. His eyes is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. He watches me. His eyes is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. He watches me. He watches me. Thank God I know He watches me. He watches me. Okay, now we're going to get into the subject. And like I said, is the title of each series is going to be Breaking the Silence. And the title today, the chapter today is called Depression. Today we are bombarded with a whole load of people who are depressed in our societies today. And we're going to be talking about it. Depression, what it does to you, how it affects you, and what you can do about it. Depression is what causes an effect. It causes an effect on children as well as adults. It is a mental disorder, and it has affected 26% of adults. It will affect your physical health. It affects your health as a whole. For an example, I want to say you may be so depressed that you don't want to eat, you don't want to sleep, you don't want to get out of bed, you may have children and you don't want to feed your children, you're not up to feeding your children, you're not up to cleaning up, and you may have a significant other that is doing those things, but he's working, so he has to go to work, and you are at a point as a female, I'm talking about us females, whereas, because I'm talking about the males too, whereas you could not get it together. So we are going to talk about that because it is so important that you keep your health up. You have to begin to eat the right foods. And if you're eating the wrong foods, like McDonald's hamburgers, the cheeseburgers, the fries, you're not getting enough nutrients to stimulate your neurons, the brain. And you have to start eating right. You need your strength. Sometimes, okay, if you don't eat, you get weak. You get to a point where you are so weak that you stay in the bed most of the time anyway. That's your whole purpose. That's an excuse to say, well, I'm going to stay in the bed because I'm so weak. I'm so depressed. I can't do this. And depression can come from many things. It can come from a loved one dying. It can come from someone being in an accident, a car accident, someone being traumatized, and you can't deal with it. Maybe your grandmother died, or grandfather died, and you can't deal with it because you was really, really close with them, and you can't see yourself seeing them around, not seeing them around. So you're taking it really hard. Now, sometimes you are going to be depressed when those things happen, but it will be for a short period of time. And a lot of people say, some people say, well, get over it, after a year. Who are they to say, get over it? You can't get over it just like that. It's going to take some time. It takes some people longer than others to get over things. So it's going to take you some time. But in the meantime, let's say you're still depressed 6 months from now because of the trauma, the situation that happened. Your grandmother or grandfather died, or you had a baby that was stillborn and died while you was in the hospital. Just a lot of different situations. So you have to do something. You have to do something about it. You can't stay in that state for long periods of time because you have to eat in order to survive. Else you would die. You'll start having heart problems because you have to get in some type of activity to keep you going, to keep your mind going. If not, you'll crack and you'll get into drugs. That's why a lot of people get into drugs. Alcohol is a drug. They start drinking excessively. They start smoking weed from popping pills, to smoking crack, to other things. You see, you have to remember that even after you get down off of your high, it's still there. You still have to deal with it. It still exists. So we're going to talk about ways we can deal with this. I would like to tell you a story. I would like to tell you a story that I went through a period of depression. I was married to a man that was constantly cheating on me, and one time or another, I said, I'm going to do it. I did it, but that was not for me. I had to ask God to forgive me, and I had to move on. In the meantime, he continued to go with different women and stay out all night, pretend like he was working. And I'm not trying to draw this dark, ugly picture about him. It was just some problems that he had to deal with that he wasn't dealing with. And I'm going to tell you, I asked him, and I continue to forgive him more than once, more than twice, more than 3 times. I mean, over and over and over again. I continue to forgive him. But it came to a point where it was affecting me. I was depressed all the time. I didn't want to feed the children. They knew how to cook. They were a little older. They were preteens, so they knew how to cook. But still, I'm the mama, and I supposed to do that for them. but I was depressed. So I would run away, maybe run over to my girlfriend's house, or run over to my family was acting silly. So, I would just go out. I would go walking or things of that nature. And it just came to a point where I knew it had to stop. It had to, because I know I couldn't continue to be in this type of state for the rest of my life, be depressed. And I tried to be happy. I would go to church, and he was a minister. And he had this problem that he did not want to deal with. You see, it was a sexual problem that he had. And I shared with him, I said, look, let's go and get some counseling. I forgive you, but let's go and get some counseling so that you can get the help that you need. Because you need some help. I mean, sex is just as addictive like food. Sex, food, or anything else. It's addictive. And, you say, oh, I can handle it. I can take care of it. So you try to handle it on your own. But when you're constantly doing it, you're affecting the family, you're affecting your significant other, you need some help. So, anyways, what happened was, I went to the counseling session. I went to get some help because I knew we needed it. It was not just him. I needed it too because I was depressed. And so I talked with a counselor, a Christian counselor, and she just shared some things with me, and she asked me, where's your husband? I said he didn't want to come. He felt like he didn't have to go to a counseling session. He felt like it was not for him. He can get past this and he can stop. Never did. He never did. By the way, I was his second wife. He had cheated on his first wife and blamed her. And the blame game, we need to stop the blame game. Like, it was her, it was him, it was woe, it was woo. No. Stop the blame game. Stop playing the blame game. Let's deal with our situation and deal with it by looking at ourselves. First, deal with the problem. See where the problem came from, and this is what I'm talking about. The problem came from, if it was me that had this problem, I would have said the problem came from me. But in this case, the problem came from my ex-husband. He had the problem and it needed to be dealt with. But guess what? It involved both of us, and it also involved our children, because it was affecting them too. They didn't know what's going on, what's happening with mom and dad. They had no idea because we kept it from them. We were very secretive about keeping that from them. So they thought everything was okay. So I went to counseling, and I told him, I'm going to go to counseling. I'm going to set us up for counseling for 6 months. And if you do not come after 6 months, you're leaving me with no other choice but to get a divorce. I hate that word, divorce, the D word, but he was putting me in a position to make a choice like that, because I could not continue to go on like that, being depressed, and my children don't deserve to see me unhappy like that. I was very unhappy, very unhappy. So anyways, I went on. I went to the sessions. I said, are you coming? I would ask him. He would say, no, I'm not coming. No, not today. And he never went for the 6 months. So he thought he was not really taking this situation, this problem serious. He was not taking our marriage serious. So after the 6 months was over, I filed for a divorce. I said, here's the divorce papers. He said, I'm ready to go to counseling. I'm ready. I said, it's too late. It's too late. Because I already asked you. We discussed it. And I said, if you don't come to the counseling session within the 6 month period, you're leaving me with no choice. So you didn't take me serious. And so we went to court. He came into the courts with his Bible and things of that nature. And we got our divorce. We began the process of our divorce. I told the judge, it's just no, it's unreconcilable. It's just we cannot work this situation out. I've tried. I've given it my all. I felt like I've given it my all, and I couldn't do anymore. So afterwards, we got the divorce. And he went on to marry someone else, So I guess the fourth wife is working out. But I heard through the grapevine from a family member that he's doing the same thing to her that he's been doing to me. This is what I'm saying. Not dealing with the problem, not dealing with it. Stop blaming everyone else and look at yourself. Now I had to look on the inside of me, and I let them know, hey, I was so angry. He kept doing it. It made me so angry. I went and I did it. I tried it. And I said, this is not for me, and I asked God to forgive me, But at the same time, and I had to forgive myself. Because I thought maybe I wasn't being a good wife. Maybe I wasn't there enough. Maybe it was all the maybes, all the questions that I had. But it wasn't about me. It was about, my counselor said it wasn't about me. I was open and honest, because I said that's the only way I can get help. I was open about it. And my counselor told me, she said, no, whatever you could have done, it wouldn't have mattered. He would have to step up to the plate and say, it's me, it's him, and I need help. But he never, it's just like a drug. Sex can be addictive, sex can be really addictive. It's like a drug. And if you don't get the help that you need, you will go on and on and on and on. So I wanted to let you know that one. And then there was another story I wanted to tell you. It's about this man, and he told me, he was just giving me his testimony about what he was doing. He was married to a good woman. He said she was a good woman, and her name was Viola, and she stayed committed to him while he went with so many women. He was in and out, going with women. I mean, he was making the money, and he was building his business, and that gave him opportunity to travel to Germany and different states. I mean, different countries and things of that nature. And so he just took advantage of the situation about his wife. He said she was a humble woman. And he took advantage of that. And so, I mean, this is out of his mouth. You can hear it coming out of his mouth. And so, and he will attest to it. He will agree with me. But the thing about it is that he went with so many women that one day he caught the HIV. He left himself open for that type of disease, because he said it was like the sex it was like a demon driving him. He said it was like a demon that was driving him to do it, to constantly do it. And so he kept doing it, and he kept doing it until he caught AIDS. And now he have it, and now in his beautiful wife, he misused her so that he didn't tell her that he had AIDS until later. And then she had to be tested. She didn't open up the envelope for about 3 months because she didn't know what the results was, because she was so scared. Because she was having sex with her husband, but remember, she was honoring the covenant. God, he looks at people that honors covenants. So she was honoring the covenant, and as she honored the covenant, his mother opened up the letter, and she was negative. So she eventually divorced him and married someone else. She had legal right to do that. She had all the rights to do that according to the Bible. She hung in there. I mean, that lady hung in there as she hung in there when he was real ill with the HIV, the AIDS virus, and when he was going through the different stages and things like that. And God still had mercy on him. He's living right today. And he is saying that God had mercy, have mercy on him. He want him to do something in life. And he's still living after 11 years, I think 12 years now, going on 13 years with the AIDS virus. Now it's HIV. He said that, he got the HIV now. It's not the virus. It's not, he haven't, he's taking medication, but he have to take medication for the rest of his life now, And he said he's delivered. He said God delivered him. He have no sexual desires anymore. And it started when he was a little boy. He looked at some naked pictures, and after that, it went on and on and on. See? So, but anyway, let me get back to the subject here. What I want to talk about is when you're depressed, some of the signs that you have, fatigue, a weakened immune system. You just weak. You have no interest in sex with your other partner. You or your blood vessels get constricted. It really does, and you start losing weight, or you may. Some people. Now, I want to say some people. They are depressed. When they're depressed, they start eating. Or on the other hand, some people stop eating. So it all depends. When you're depressed at times, some people just start eating. Start gaining weight. On the other hand, there's some people, these people stop eating, they start losing weight. Okay, so really, when you start doing that, you're committing suicide, basically, because your body needs the nutrients. Your body needs these things in order to survive. If you don't eat, you die. That's just simple as that. You do. After a certain period of time, you die. Okay, so you don't want your weight to fluctuate. You want to, while you're going through this process, you want to you want to eat the right foods. You want to do the right things. So, but if you find that you are not able to handle it, go seek some help. Go seek some help. And we also have a 1-800 number I will let you know about after we finish talking. I will let you know about it. And like I said, it is called Breaking the Silence. That is the name of our series, Breaking the Silence. You cannot be quiet about it anymore. Sometimes the husband don't want to talk about it. Say, baby, don't talk about it. We can get through this. Or the wife may be saying the same thing about the husband. You know something is going on and you are trying to handle it by yourself, in the family, at your home. Don't want anybody to know about it. And you see it is getting out of hand. Talk. You need to talk to someone other than yourself because you see it's not working. Or you may have a child that's going through that. And you don't want to talk about it because you don't want to be embarrassed by the neighbors and things of that nature. It's going to escalate, and it's not going to get any better if you see this problem constantly going on and it hasn't stopped. It's not going to get any better. Okay, so I want to talk about sometimes when you're having a death, when there's a death in the family, that's really hard. We talked about that. When you are preoccupied with death. You know, um, you know, other words, you're thinking about committing suicide. I mean, so much of that is going on today. Children I know the youngest that I've heard is committing suicide. She committed suicide and she was 7. I think she was 7 years old. And she committed suicide because the children were making fun of her at school. They were bullying her. And she didn't mention it to her mother, her parents. She just tried to handle it herself. She's a child. But things is different in a child because you have those signs is hard to detect. But one of the signs is if you see them maybe beating on the wall, or they're cutting they're cutting things up, and look like they want to just stab into hurt somebody, and you see that there is a lot of anger issues when they're depressed. They just so depressed, and then they start talking back, and they start going up to their room, not wanting to play. They don't want to discuss anything. They just remain quiet. Watch those signs. When look at what they usually do and determine what they are doing then. That's one of the signs that because a lot of parents, when their child kill themselves, maybe hang themselves or take medications, overdose, or whatever the case is, the parents say, I never knew. Well, guess what? You was probably so preoccupied in doing what you were doing, maybe work, maybe studying, maybe taking care of your needs, that you didn't even notice. So a lot of times children feel like they are not loved. They feel like they are not noticed. They feel like, nobody care about them. And so they start, another sign you see is them lunging out at others, maybe getting into fights, or just real sad at the kitchen table when you're eating dinner, and you're saying, what's wrong, Sammy, or what's wrong, Joe, or what's wrong, Mike, or what's wrong, Tracy, and you see nothing. Sometimes they say nothing. Start watching that. Don't just go by what they say. Nothing. You just start looking into something is going on with my child, and I need to find out what is going on. Start looking into it, because they will tell you that, but that may be the last day you see them, or last time you see them, because they're thinking about committing suicide, and a lot of them is doing it today. They're doing it today. They feel like they're not loved, they're not wanted, they're not needed, So watch those things. Another thing is your physical health. We talked about that, and so I think that's all we're going to talk about right now. But I want to leave a comment on a comment channel on there. If you have any comments, any suggestions, any ideas, this is the first of our series, so we're going to get better as we go along. So be a little patient with me, because I'm just bringing this out. It was in my heart to do so. So that there's a need, a great need, and it is escalating. So I want to be a help to the community. So I just want to say this is the first series. So there's maybe about 120 chapters to this series. So this is the first chapter. So but the title of it will always be the main title, Breaking the Silence. It have to be broken. You have to start talking about it. Many people talk about it, but many people don't get into details. They stay on the surface of it. Why are you really depressed? And sometimes, so you need to start talking about it. So we talked about this. So just an overview of what we talked about, and that is, make sure you eat enough food nutrients, get enough nutrients in your body so that your your brain, the stimulation of your brain can get the nutrients that it need in order for you to think properly, get you some sleep, get into some activities with maybe friends or family, and stay away from negative people that will say negative things. Kind of steer away from them because they're not helping you. You're trying to recover from this depression. That is just bringing you deeper down in the hole in depression. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to be around those type of people. And even if you may be a family member, you just, say your highs and buys. Oh, do you want to go out today? No, thank you. Oh, you don't do that anymore? No, it's some things I'm getting into right now. So there's a lot of activities that you can involve yourself in. In the near future, I will have a listing of activities that is available. And aromatherapy is really good. We do aromatherapy in our organization. And so if you're in the Dallas area, that'd be good. Or any area in Texas, you can come down and get a massage. It's really good, kind of relaxes you and things of that nature. So, and also make sure that if you are in a situation where you are so depressed, you feel like, hey, I just want to give up on life. Don't do it. You are well worth living a life, because when you kill yourself, that's an eternal thing. That is something that's eternal. You can't go back and, excuse me, you couldn't go back and change your mind. It is extremely too late to go back and change your mind. So we're going to end this. We talked about the overview of what depression does for you and some of the things that you can do in order to get out of the state of depression. And we would like to give you a telephone number for prayer, or if you just want to talk, if you want to discuss what you're going through, you can let us know. This number is available. We're going to have it available 24/7 in a little bit, but right now it's available on Tuesdays and Fridays. We're available Tuesdays and Fridays from 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time to 7:30 p.m. And you can just call the 712-775-7031. Our access code is 318022. However, I want to say those that have T-Mobile or Metro PCS, they have terms and agreements that they have included in there, and it's like they will charge you if you call this number, which it's unbelievable. They started this about a year ago. So if you have T-Mobile or Metro PCS, it will cause complications to get in. Sometimes you can't even get into this number. That's why some of the people were having problems with it, and we just want to let you know now. You can also email us at men and women of destiny 98 at yahoo.com. Men and women, men and A and D, women of destiny at yahoo.com, and you can just let us know your concerns and things of that nature. And we also have programs available for you, and we're setting those up now. So like I said, be a little patient with us. I know a lot of things that's going on in your life that you want it to stop, like right now, but God is there to give you strength. So remain strong until we meet again. Goodbye for now, and stay strong.